Hi, perfect. Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Sumanth. I work with an organization called HSI, Humane Society International in India. And we work with Gnaneshwar, with the Croc Bank, and a variety of other stakeholders on trying to solve the big snakebite puzzle, primarily from an India perspective. The mistake that we've often made, and I will speak a lot about the mistakes we've made because we've made plenty and we continue to make a lot more, not consciously, but we're learning. We've always spoken about snakebite in India without realizing the scale of it. When we say snakebite in India, India is a really big country, big not only in terms of size, but big in terms of population and diversity of snakes, which makes it a really hard problem to solve. And one of the conversations we keep having is we try and develop these national policies when there's so much regional variation in snakes, in people's attitude towards snakes, and even when it comes to prevention. For example, we talk about farmers in the field wearing gum boots when they're working, knee-length boots when they're working so they don't get bitten by snakes. It works where I am. In North India, people don't want to wear footwear when they're working in fields because for them, agricultural fields are holy. It's what gives them food. They don't want to wear footwear. They want to be barefoot when they're working in the fields. So when we've spoken about prevention and policies that affect or rather will help in preventing snakebite, it doesn't work when we keep talking about it from an India perspective. We have to recognize that within India, all the geographies within are so different. People are so different. Cultures are so different. Everything has to be tailor-made to that one specific state or even a smaller geographic area than a state. I'm going to take you through some of the work that we've done in the past and what we continue to do. A quick recap of what Gnaneshwar spoke about. Over 1 million bites in India every year, and about 60,000 deaths, and about 200,000 cases of morbidity. As cruel as it may sound, the mortality from snakebite is actually better. The ones who are getting bitten by snakes the most are people in the most economically productive age group of 19 to 35. So when they are rendered unable to work, when they lose a life function, they lose their limb, they lose their digits on their hand, they're not able to go back and work, the ramifications of it is actually so much worse. We've been talking about snakebite as a wildlife conflict issue when it actually is a public health concern of massive, massive scale. People who are bitten by snakes, who lose a limb, who lose a few fingers, are not able to go back and work in the field like they used to before, as a result of which there's constantly mounting debt to try and pay off the treatment for snakebite. We've seen children being pulled out of school, being put to work in fields. We've unfortunately seen families committing suicide simply because they've been unable to pay off the debt of a snakebite. So what we see as a human-wildlife conflict issue goes so much more deeper. And understandably so, everybody in rural India knows somebody who's been bitten by a snake. And invariably, there's innate fear of snakes in everyone. The first reaction when someone sees a snake is to kill it. Like Gnaneshwar said, is first to kill it, or worse, have it relocated elsewhere, which may seem like a humane solution, but it actually is so much more worse than killing a snake then and there. We truly don't understand the socio-economic effect of snakebite, to be very honest. We've not done enough to understand this. We've spoken to people and we hear these case studies of people talking to us about what it means. They're spending about 20 times their annual income on trying to get a person out of a hospital and back home. And the cost only mounts after that even further. So it's the mental health of people who survive snakebite is a topic that we've not even touched for fear of how big it is, honestly. This is where I work. I work in a southern state called Karnataka. Gnaneshwar works in a neighboring state called Tamil Nadu. We, of course, have plenty of problems. There's problems on the science and policy side, and Gnaneshwar has expanded on this as well. We know the complexity of venom, antivenom. Even if we solve that big problem, there's a problem with people's attitude. Nobody goes to a hospital. The hospital data we have from snakebite is such a small number because about 85% of the victims don't even go to a hospital. And that's the big stumbling block. We don't understand anything about snakes. All we know and I've been working with snakes for 20 years now. Whatever we say we know about snakes is from the few moments of the snake's life when we are face to face with it. We could be rescuing a snake from someone's home, and somebody asks me what a cobra's behavior is. I base it off those few minutes that I'm handling that snake, which is not the snake's behavior. It's completely artificial. It's reacting to me as a stimuli. It's not the snake's behavior. We don't know why snakes are biting people. We've always towed the line of saying, you step on a snake and it bites somebody. But we're really beginning to question it through our work. We think that there's more to it than meets the eye, and we've not even broken the surface of it. We work quite a bit on institutional and individual capacity building to deal with human-snake conflict, and we're trying to affect human behavior change in preventing snakebite because it's so much more effective. We've been successful in bringing about domestic policies. In India, forest and wildlife conservation is on something called a concurrent list on the constitution, which means both the center and state can mess with it and complicate it further. Unfortunately, that's good and bad. Fortunately, it's good and bad. We've been able to work with some states very successfully and bring in policies that dictate how human-snake conflict is managed or mitigated at a state level. We've also been able to try and understand snakes better. We wanted to try and understand Russell's viper better, the species that cause the most number of bites, and very horrific bites, to be honest. We didn't know anything about this snake. So we set out about 4 years ago. We said, let's try and understand this snake in an agrarian landscape. We took about 30 snakes from an agricultural landscape, inserted radio transmitters in them, and put them back exactly where we found them to try and study them for 3 years to begin to even understand what snakes do and don't. And we've had some very, very fascinating results, to be honest. We've always spoken about home range for snakes without truly knowing what it is. And we've realized that for a snake like Russell's viper, in an agrarian landscape, it could be as small as 5 square meters. So you move the snake out of the 5 square meters, it's out of its home. And we think we're doing a good thing by relocating it to a forest. This is a snake that's never seen a forest. It's going to die in a forest. So we come with a lot of these biases with any species about where these animals should live, what they should eat. It's so not true in case of snakes or anything else. We've also been learning a lot about what Russell's viper do in reaction to people moving around them. And it's been truly, truly fascinating. We've published a couple of papers. We're en route to publishing one more. We are testing a lot of assumptions about snakes. And in the process, we're making a lot more. But we're hoping that we can keep testing these assumptions and try and learn snakes better, because trying to treat snakebite without understanding snakes is like treating malaria without understanding mosquitoes, which is what we've been doing for the longest time. So we're hoping to do this with more venomous snakes as well, and non-venomous snakes, of course. We've also been working to strengthen institutional framework that exists to build, to treat snakebite. We've realized, very unfortunately, that the medical fraternity is completely unequipped to deal with snakebite, which is why they always refer patients to another hospital, and most victims just die in transit between hospitals. We're working to build confidence and capacity in the medical fraternity to actually not send people away and treat snakebite effectively. There is a big hurdle that snakebite is a medico-legal case. So when there is a person who's been bitten by a snake is taken to a hospital, police get involved. It's a gift of the British, but police get involved, and it complicates the matter so much more. But we're trying to work towards mitigating a lot of these as well. We've realized that the most cost-effective way to work around snakebite is to prevent it altogether. Snakebite treatment is so much more expensive in terms of the research that has to go into it, in terms of expenses on the medical side. Preventing snakebite is far, far easier. But that involves human behavior change, which we know can't happen in our lifetime. We're trying to figure out ways in which you can prevent snakebite, be it through knee-length boots or flashlights, or to be honest, we're testing out multiple things. We don't have a perfect solution for it, but we're trying out everything from snake socks to gaiters, trying to find the social acceptability of these interventions to a point where people are comfortable using them even on a hot, sunny day has been a challenge, and we're making progress towards it. So very soon we will have, hopefully, a snakebite prevention kit that will cost less than $5, which could be distributed en masse to millions. And we've already seen some success in it, but 25% of our beneficiaries who we've given flashlights to, which cost less than $1, have said they've seen snakes which otherwise they wouldn't have in their day-to-day life. So word has spread, and there's more and more people now using flashlights. So we're hoping to bring about this behavior change over a generation. Finally, the way forward is, again, like I said, investment in prevention is going to pay off so much more than investment in cure, as the old saying goes. We also want to fill a lot of evidence gaps. There's a lot that we don't know about how people perceive snakes around them. There's a lot we don't know about how snakes perceive people around them. We'd like to start filling in these gaps in knowledge, so we can actually word better when we are talking to communities on preventing snakebite altogether, or how do they live with snakes. I had this really funny incident. I started off doing snake rescue, as a lot of us did, which means snakes would come into people's homes, they would give us a call, we would go pick up that snake, and in a very ideal world, this is 20 years ago, we would go release them in a forest because we thought that's where snakes are supposed to be. Mm-hmm. We've made these mistakes in the past. And it was, the whole snake rescue scene in India is very chaotic, very messy. That takes another 2 days to talk about, so we'll not go down that line. But I got this call this was before cell phones, of course, so we got a call, and there was a person who said, there's an old lady who stays in a small hut next to my house. We saw a snake go into her house. Can you come and catch the snake? I said, of course. It was a very heroic thing to do back in the day. So I got on my motorbike. I went there. I got off the motorbike, and I was going into this lady's house. She came out, this really old lady, elderly lady. She came out, and she said, why are you here? I said, your neighbor called me, and he said, there's a snake in your house, so I've come to take the snake out. I'm brave, I take snakes out. She said, yeah, that snake comes every day. I said, what do you mean it comes every day? She said, it comes every day, stays for a few minutes, and goes away by itself. I was perplexed. I said, I'm here now. Do you want me to take the snake out? She said, hold on. She went inside her house. She took a broom and swept a 4-foot cobra outside her house. And she said, why did you have to come all the way to do this? And that's sort of when it dawned on me that whether we give it the name of coexistence or not, people have always been living around snakes. It's not new. Unfortunately, the tolerance has gone way, way down now. I think it's just about us not putting these tags. And like we were saying, we don't measure tolerance. People in India are incredibly tolerant with all kinds of animals around them. There are people living with tigers in their backyard, snakes in their front yard, and they're perfectly fine. We don't acknowledge this enough. It's about time we start filling in some of those gaps. We also need snakebite survivors to talk and be the voice for this instead of us who just like snakes. So that's some of the work we're doing. We've got a quick video. I'm not going to play it right now, but if you'd like to, you can scan the QR code, save it for later, or happy to circulate it later as well. But we've got a short 6-minute video that talks about our work further. I think that's all I had for today. Simon?